Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pab, the racing VTuber and artist, and today we're going to be doing a little bit more comic work. As I mentioned, I took it nice and easy last week, so I'm now ready to head back into it. I feel good, I am very prepared, I am standing dangerously close to the edge of my desk. Hang on, let me scoot up a little bit further up. It's not good to be directly on the edge, although now I am standing on my tablet. Well, we can fix this. Let's just go to the working screen, and then I won't be standing on anything at all. It is kind of weird how the working screen is like, I don't know, some people have like their working screen be like a bedroom or something, but mine is just kind of like this abstract space. Well, no, most people's are also an abstract space, I think, but like, it does make it hard to justify, like, do I own a green screen in the lore? Is that what this is? It's very mysterious. Also, I've been recently doing a little bit of file sorting and management, and I found out that I have a few royalty-free soundtracks queued up, so I'm going to be playing those in the background. I'm not sure what kind of vibe these are supposed to have. I got them from like this fucking Humble Bundle resource pack that seems to be doing pretty well for itself, so if the music gets like weird or spooky while you're listening to this live, that's probably why. Alright, let's head on in. Where are we? What are we? Hang on. Oh, I have my numlock thing going. Okay, so where I'm working on page 5 today, I have made some decent progress on this first panel, because we have the background and... Ooh, that is a lot of pink there. Let me open up page 4 as well. The thing with... yeah, the thing that I figured out with working on the comic is that if I'm going to be painting these, I need to have like at least like 3 different pages open. Particularly since I've done black and white versions of these pages. I need to have the black and white version of the page open in case I find any mistakes. I need to have the, previous page so I can have some easy access color references. And, sometimes I just have other pages open because sometimes even if I have a page open, it's not the page that I need, so to speak. So, for example, some pages, for example, Hawk's legs. Hawk's legs and her pants have like a very specific color. I mean, I have the reference sheet up here, so I could probably get it if I needed to, but like Emelian, for example, I don't have such a full reference sheet for Emelian just yet because I have been fighting for my life trying to get this, the normal comic itself done. Oh, here's another example. So, for example, is it okay, that is some very majestic music. Okay. So, for example, the maids. On page 7, I made it so that the maids have, like, instead of just being pure black point, they have, like, some blue or red to distinguish them. And that's come back to bite me a little bit, because now I need to apply that to some extent here. Yeah, like that. Just very, very fast and loose. Oh, here's an example, right? So there's this little bit right here. You wouldn't even notice it, but I know that it's there now, so it needs to go. Like things like that you notice little by little when you work on these. So that's another reason why sometimes these take a lot longer than I expect them to. Like, I'll just find little things like that. Like, on a couple other pages, for example, I forgot Emelian's choker, for example. And, that's kind of not good since, well, it's not good in general, but it's especially embarrassing to me personally. I don't want to be one of those chumps that forgets character consistency. I already make my design simple enough that I shouldn't be... No, I mean, like, everybody makes mistakes, right? But, like, I feel like because I always make my character designs so simple, I especially feel rattled when I, like, forget one very small detail on them. page over page, because like I already tried to minimize the amount of detail. So the fact that I forgot it anyway is just really it keeps me humble. That's a good thing. Okay, this track has chanting. What? What? It sounds like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to a little bit. You know, it's probably like I actually think that it's a good thing to have like. I usually put on like lo-fi, right? You know, something like that while I'm working on this stuff. I think it might be a little good to have it like have a more majestic feel. I feel like it makes this. You know, I've mentioned this before that it's important to have like a balance between road work and fun, especially when it comes to art. Like you need to have a little bit of variety, and I think that why is it doing that? Why does it keep? You know what? I'm just gonna fill that in manually. Whatever. I don't care. I'm not paid enough for this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm paid enough to make sure that everything works. I'm not paid enough to question why it doesn't. Let's see. Actually, let's just connect these two. Why not? I'm going to end up soft erasing them a little bit anyway. Hmm. Yeah, I think like that it works a little better. Okay. So then now we're going to go ahead. Can we start the shading? Now, you know what? I think what would be a good idea is to have the more reddish colors from this one in the background, because I feel like that's going to... Oh, I actually do have them here already. Way to go, me. Hmm. Yeah, because I've discussed it a lot with the author, right? We've been talking a lot during the coloring phase, and we've understood that whenever things get more hairy for the characters, the color should be a little bit more red and warm, which makes sense. I feel like red as an indication of danger is a pretty safe bet most of the time. All right, hang on. What is that? What is that? No, okay. I think I'm just going to thicken this line manually. Yeah. The thing is, as well, right? Sometimes you get so caught up in, like, the almost science fiction technology that Clip Studio Paint has that you forget, like, oh, yeah, I can just do this manually in, like, 3 seconds. All right. Like I said, I already have Hawk's reference up here, so I can just grab stuff from there. I need to make myself one of those fancy smancy drawing tablet assets for myself, for my arms, for art streams. At this point, I'm always going to be wearing a prop no matter what I do. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I think it's more of a testament to how modular my model is. I'm like Mario, or Germa, or Barbie. You put me in a situation and I will rise to the occasion. Let's see. Did I just have a little extra here? I think so. Let's see then. I think that, yeah, I think I'm just gonna like erase a little bit of light that I had there anyway. What color did I have? See, again, this is why it's important to have like prior sheets open. If you don't have a color on the reference sheet, then you can eat. Where's my brush size? Oh god. Okay, here we go. Never mind. Crisis averted. What was that one movie where it's like today we're gonna cancel the apocalypse or something? Was that Independence Day? Is that the one? For some reason, I always like in my mind whenever somebody mentions like Independence Day or National Treasure, I have to like cycle very quickly through like my memory bank to remember if they're talking about the Nicolas Cage movie. like, like those two movies. For some reason, National Treasure and Independence Day are both like very intricately tied. I don't think Nicolas Cage was in Independence Day. I think that was a Will Smith, and that one had like Will Smith in it, but not Nicolas Cage. I don't think. Well, whatever. Honestly, I feel like we are going to lose like a certain breed of like genre almost of movie from like the early 2000s, back when movies could be like very, I don't know, I feel like in the 2000s movies could still be extremely corny. Like even with like the onslaught of Marvel movies, I feel like the Michael Bay Transformers movies could not be made today. And I don't know. I don't know what the general consensus is on the live action Michael Bay Transformers movies. I know some people hate them, but I don't really see a lot of that. I don't know. I don't run in a whole lot of Transformer circles. I think the only Transformers media that I've ever absorbed. I liked Transformers as a kid, but I never got like into a specific Transformers thing. You know, it's not like I never got into that property. Let's see. But yeah, what the hell? I'm just gonna grab it from here. It's so sometimes I worry that like these my habits in I don't know. I feel like sometimes the habits that I form in CSP are like lazy. Like, you know, the palette is like all the way over here when I could just like tap this page and grab what I need instantly. I don't know. Is that efficiency or is that laziness? Or maybe it's a little bit of both. Then I was thinking about something. Oh yeah, speaking of like children's cartoons, the other day I watched a few episodes of that one football series, Inazuma 11, and my god, it is insane. Man, I should when I was a kid, right? I very briefly stayed in a Latin American country, so you know football was life. But I think like, and my brother loved like one football series called like Captain Tsubasa, and you know I never managed to get into it because I don't think like it aired during like when I was around, right? I never got like that like intense exposure to it like he did, and I feel like because like I don't know. To some extent, I feel like Captain Tsubasa is like much more grounded in reality, but I feel like Inazuma 11 and Captain Tsubasa are like on two different spectrums of reality. Like in it's kind of like comparing like Slam Dunk to friggin' that one basketball anime with that was like that dude freaking firing laser beams through the basketball, and it was like it's called a fadeaway jumper. Yeah, whatever the hell that was. That's the best difference that I can like relate them to. Like these children were turning the football field into a war zone. They were out for blood. At least the rival teams were. I think like the like protagonist team is just like a bunch of doofuses, but the rival teams had like they were pulling out shit that was called like the death zone or whatever on these absolute scrubs, and they were like, "This is normal and fine." Let's see. Then let's grab the shading here. Oh yeah, I mentioned earlier that I actually stumbled into the BGM for this live stream while I was sorting some files, right? Uh, I've been like looking through more of them recently, and again, oh, I see. Yeah, I've been looking through more of them these days, and I've started to build up a healthy collection of pictures that I could probably use for like a meme redraw. Because that's the main reason that I have like a bunch of pictures saved, right? It's in case that I need like inspiration for something. I have like references available. Yeah, especially for stuff like clothing and you know some art styles as well. I want to be able to have like a reference on hand in case I ever need one. There we go. Let's just grab this and we can add it to the bit right here. I think that means I also need to fix it up here too. Oh no, and that one it's basically covered. There we go. But yeah, one of these days I have to like take a stream to do a meme redraw one. That's gonna be a fun one. I need to put myself in more situations. That's the key to getting stronger. What's that one phrase, right? Like adversity breeds strength. Yeah, I have enough adversity in my day to day life, so I feel like I need to manufacture some of my own in my VTubing career. I could start picking fights on Twitter, but that sounds boring. Let's see. Yeah, the drop shadow for the helmet would be much closer to the face, like this. Okay, so we want to go back a little bit. Why is this section not filled? Oh, I see. Hang on. There we go. Slightly peeking over. Is there like... Hang on. Is there something here? Oh, no, that's from the line art. Okay. I don't know what it is about printing that makes me feel super paranoid about like the line work and everything. I feel like so far I've been following all the right steps, right? Like I've been like making sure that it's in CMYK. You know, I've been making sure that it's in a high DPI so it doesn't lose quality when printing. It's all that good stuff. But something about the fact that this may or may not be printed, or rather that this will be printed, manifesting, makes me super nervous about like the whole process. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect because this is like a first pass, but I'd like to make it as smooth as possible. And like this. Hmm. I've also been warming up much more to drawing metal effects. I feel like I've said that before, but it's still true. If it can be said once, it's worth mentioning twice. Then over here. I also try to get a little bit fancy with it sometimes, you know, use a soft eraser here and there. Yeah, like that, just a little bit. I think there is also like a deeper blue color that I use for like even darker parts. Oh, hold that thought. I accidentally nipped a little bit here. Yeah, the big old hair bun just kind of causing a reflective error over here. There we go. Oh, I missed a little bit on the fill here. Moving right along. There we go, just like that. Oh yeah, I opened up Twitter earlier today, and I saw that the little normal bird logo has been replaced by a dog icon. I know for a fact the name of the person responsible for this, but that doesn't make me any less. I don't know. It's like when I saw it, I was filled with like a terrifying awe of like an I was filled with a sort of understanding, the kind of like understanding that like an ant feels when it realizes that it's going to be crushed to death by a foot. I don't know. There was something kind of inspiring about like the utter bleakness of the situation. I have nothing personally against Doge. However, what the symbol changing represents is rather what concerns me. I felt like I needed to throw it up into the sky and shoot it down like one of those plates at the Olympics. Oh, hey, Cypress. Welcome, everyone. I'm Pabs, a writer, VTuber, and artist, and today we're doing a little bit of work on the comic. Yeah, thank you for your hard work. How's the Nuzlocke been going? I didn't catch the tail end of the stream. The octopus died. Fuck! Wall? You mean... Did Wall die? Shit! Is Wall an octopus? I don't think Wall is an octopus. Oh, thank God. Okay, Wall is fine. Okay, that... thank God. I never played Sun and Moon, so when you said octopus, I was immediately like racing. My mind was racing to figure out who you were talking about. Still, that sounds rough. Why is this little chunk unfilled? A ghost used a curse that kills fish. Jeez. Okay, is it on this layer? Which layer is this on? Oh, it's on this layer. Still, that sucks. I hate it. I think ghosts murdering fish is a power that you can get in Spore. It's certainly a dark magic. Got 4 Pokemon left. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, hey, that's... Yeah. That's more than 3, right? I remember that. I think you were starting. I think I saw the stream for most of the stream. You had like 3 Pokemon. You have 4 now. That's 1 more. But yeah, it's fine. Oh fuck! Speaking of like weird shit that's been happening to marine life, I don't know if hippos count as marine life. Apparently, Pablo Escobar had like a bunch of hippos on one of his properties, and apparently they've just been like leaving those species to like their own devices. And predictably, they became an invasive species in another part of like the country. However, I was reading about that earlier today, and I remembered that in the U.S. I remember reading about this. In the U.S., there was a proposed plan in, I think, like the early 1900s, where they wanted to try to import hippos to the U.S. to kind of grow them as like livestock, because they had like some kind of like invasive water plant which the hippos could eat, and hippos have a lot of meat on them. I swear to God, it's a real thing. Somebody made an alternative history book based on it. I think it's called like Rivers of Teeth. Yeah, almost livestock. On the one hand, I'm always sad whenever we lose an opportunity to like domesticate a beast, but on the other hand, I'm really, really glad that we didn't domesticate hippopotami. Yeah, no, like I was about to say, hippopotami are fucking dangerous. Like, people don't expect, because of how cute they look, people don't expect them to have like bite force equivalent to or exceeding that of crocodiles. They're basically like crocodiles if like crocodiles didn't have the setback of being cold-blooded. I mean, these things are cold-blooded, but only in like the metaphorical sense. Unless hippos are secretly cold-blooded and I just didn't know. That is possible. I don't know much about hippopotami other than they're like super dangerous and kill more people than sharks every year. Mammals? Okay, cool. Good. My instinct said mammals, but I didn't want to be like wrong about that. Let's see. You know, you think you know a mammal that when you see one. Semi-aquatic. Eat, I think, mostly fish and weeds. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. Now, you think you know about, like, aquatic... You think you know about, like, morphology. You think you can call a mammal when you see it, until some asshole walks into your university room with a naked chicken and it goes like, behold a man. That was a very awkward day in class. Yeah, you cannot count on morphology to dictate whether or not something's a mammal. Yeah, I hate when that happens. Yeah, rest in peace, Diogenes. He would have done numbers on Twitter. Or actually, it's probably if that's the case, it's probably for the best that he died. Yeah, no, knowing random shit is honestly such a blessing. Like, it's not a party until somebody whips out like a random obscure trivia fact that gets the conversation flowing. There we go. Like this. I've been learning a lot about like shading metal, and it's become exceedingly clear to me that most like rounded surfaces you can probably get away with just like doing like a Nike swoosh, all bent and twisted and effed up, and usually get away with it. That's valuable information. That's good to know. There's a species of snail that lives near undersea volcanic vents called the scaly foot snail, and it literally grows iron scales. Oh, scaly foot snail. Yeah, I've seen pictures of those guys. They look rad as hell. Hang on. Yeah, they look super cool. Yeah, these dudes. Look at this guy. Yeah, when it comes to being like weird beasts of the deep, nothing beats extremophiles and things that live near like thermic vents. Yeah, I don't know, like being like in an extreme environment either turns you into like number one spooky master, as is the case for like anglerfish and most things that live in the deep, or it turns you into like an absolute baller, as is the case for the scaly foot crab. Yeah. Yeah, shout out to tardigrades. Okay, so let's see. All my homies love the tardigrade. Okay. And like that. Axolotl. Axolot. Yeah. Are axolotl extremophiles? I don't actually know too much about axolots. Then, okay, we're going to basically do the same thing over here. Less extremophile, more weird environment things. Oh, no, I get what you mean now, because I do remember seeing that one thing called like the Olm. Hang on, let me pull up a picture. Yeah, this thing. Okay, so like to give you an idea, this is what an axolot looks like, right? And okay, per EveBot, they do live in streams, or I mean caves. Don't know why I said streams. And if imagine if this thing got like put in like into like one of those like rock tumblers or one of those sand blasters, that's how you get an Olm. Like this thing looks like a demastered version of the axolot. this thing looks like yeah, it's been extruded. Yeah, the axolot rendered in 720p. It's one of those beasts that just does not have eyes. I think they look very cool. They're very handsome beasts. Yeah, people obsessed with mermaids were right. Yeah, people obsessed. Yeah, cave beasts are top tier, honestly. Yeah, people who were obsessed with mermaids as children were right. Being like water, being like a mainly water type dude turns you into such a baller. Okay, then over here. Yeah, I wish living in water would do cool stuff for my physiology. I usually either get cooked or get trench foot. That's true. If I started hanging out near thermal vents, I'd just become cooked rice. Yeah, that's also what's always bothered me about the phrase "getting your feet wet." Like that phrase is supposed to mean like you're taking your like first shot at something, right? You don't want to get your feet wet. That's how you get trench foot. All right, getting your feet wet is a bad thing. Anyway, let me redo some of these lines here. And then for the last touch, I'm just going to add this darker blue right here. There we go. It's very naturally kind of a gradient. Then, okay, the next part would be the rest of the aprons, and then we're going to do Emilian's clothing. Whenever I see sometimes I accidentally tap the black point, and I see the fill bucket accidentally like add an entire color to this part, and even though I know that it's an easy fix, it still like makes my my life flash before my eyes whenever it happens. Yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those people who like find solutions, but first needs like a good moment to panic. Like once I have like my brief window of time to like panic like I mean it, I can usually solve problems pretty easily. Hmm. It's probably a good idea to try and get over that soon, but baby steps. Let's see. I guess that applies to most people, though. If you get like shocking news or something, you'd usually need a little bit of time before you calm down and can make a rational decision. Then okay, there we go. I just make that an awful gremlin until I can process. I mean, hell, whatever works for you. The important thing is that it works. If it's ridiculous and it works, it's ridiculous, but it still works. Yeah, like for example, very recently, right? I've actually had a little bit of trouble sleeping in my own bed, right? It happened for no reason. I think it's that I get like a little bit, my body temperature gets a little bit too hot when I try to sleep in my normal bed. So I decided to like vary it up a little bit, and I just decided to sleep on my couch, and it worked. For some reason, it worked. I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm gonna sleep on the couch for a little bit, and I've been doing that, and it's just been working. Yeah, I'm gonna get back into my own bed soon, but like, whatever it takes, right? Yeah, I do think that it's probably a temperature issue because I do think that like, hmm, yeah, gotta find your own solutions. And over here, every time that I remember something like whenever I remember somebody saying that like you need to find your own path in life or something like that, there's this rather old manga. I don't remember which time period it came from. Definitely before like cell phones or smartphones were super common, because I remember that like at most somebody had a cell phone. Yeah. I don't remember the exact name of it. I think it's translated name is like something like Legend of the Angel or something. But the basic plot of that story is that there's this kid called like Kitano, right? That has a really he's just got the scariest freaking face ever, but he's a really nice kid. And part of the story, and most of the story, is about like him getting into misunderstandings with like local delinquents and everything, and trying to make friends even with the fact that his face is so scary. And in one of the arcs, it's about a new family that has moved into the neighborhood, who is a family of foreigners. And one of the jokes is that like the father of the family doesn't know a lick of Japanese. He's just he's just like this harmless white guy, just kind of like running around. And the funniest thing that happens is like he runs into while he's like looking for his daughter or something, he runs into a sign that says like, be careful, there is like work up ahead, it is dangerous. And he's like, I cannot read the sign, Papa must make his own path in life. And then he just like falls into a pit, which the sign was trying to warn him about. Whenever I think of like people saying like you need to make your own path in life, I remember that comic. God, that really was a good series though. I should reread it one of these days. Okay, that should be good. I think now the only thing is Hawk's jetpack and Emelian. Jetpack will be easy enough. Okay. In a lot of ways, the series reminds me a lot of like Mob Psycho 100. I think that's the best one that I can like draw parallels to. It's like if Mob Psycho 100 was less about psychic powers and more about like delinquents. Although Mob Psycho 100 was about delinquents for just like a little bit. Like one of the story arcs was about like Mob accidentally being recruited into like his school's local delinquent club or whatever. Delinquent gang. Delinquents don't have clubs, I don't think. Then over here. This'll do. Then you getting out of here. Alright, I got an idea for how to do this. Yeah, I think sometimes it's easier to just like paint in the areas that would have been lit up rather than worry about which areas would have been darkened. I feel like this one would have still had like a little bit of shading over here. Yeah, recently, I think like a few days ago, it was like the I don't want to say like 25th, but recently it was the anniversary of The Matrix, which is cool. I think that's like one of the first movies that I try to like watch on my own. You know, like when you're a kid, right? You usually don't like choose your own movies. You just like watch whatever the other people are watching. I mean, to some extent, right? Like there's like a transitionary period, right, where you go from like being like, okay, I'm just going to watch like whatever kids movies around, and then you like suddenly start being like, I wonder what like happened in Inglorious Bastards. I had a period like that, right? I was like, okay, I've heard about all these like famous films and everything. I need to know what goes on in some of them. Like, I keep seeing some of these films referenced or something. I want to know what goes on in them. So I started watching The Matrix, or I watched The Matrix as a kid. I don't know. I don't know how old I could have been. Like, probably not that old. I wouldn't call The Matrix like a child-friendly movie, but it's definitely like something that like a 10-year-old could probably watch and still fairly well understand. Matrix came out when I was pre-teens. Oof. Yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, I do technically qualify as a Zoomer, which is still really funny to me. Technically, I was still born before the 2000s, but apparently that's not enough these days. It's only a matter of time before I start getting out of touch. I was born before the 90s. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, no, sorry. Then I might accidentally dole out a gut punch every now and again by accident. My apologies. But yeah, it's really funny to again. I feel like it is funny to me personally that I'm technically qualified. I feel like out of the owl. Yeah, I don't know. It's really again. It's funny to me that I qualify as a Zoomer because I don't relate to that. I don't know. Like I don't know when I'm going to start feeling old. I feel like it's been very recently. I've only just started to be like, man, I feel a little bit out of touch, right? I don't know. Like I'm finally starting to be like, I am not nearly as hip as I used to be, and that's okay. Yeah, I feel like we need to preserve hip as a slang language, as like a as part of like slang vocabulary. If only so that we have like a adequate phrase for like how it feels like to get to kind of like age like that. Yeah, a line in the sand. I'm hip. I'm cool. I'm radical. Yeah, some, although sometimes I do wonder if it is just like I like either I'm no longer like with it, or if it is just that I just don't care about what's being done in particular about around this time. Like I think right now there is like a there's like an ARG or something happening on Twitter called like Welcome Home that has like these like puppet looking characters. I like the art style of it. I don't know what the fuck it's about. And I'm really not interested, but I don't think that's because I'm out of touch, but it's just because I don't like ARGs at all. Yeah. It's little things like that. Oh, Tumblr recommended it to you too the other day? Hmm. No, it seems to be really popular. Good for them. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like with the puppet art cell and everything, it reminds me a little bit of that Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Can you believe that? I still can't believe those guys got their own TV series. Like, and it's like a real show and everything, and it was like it actually did pretty well for itself. Back in my day, people just started Kickstarters and then scammed them and scammed fools out of their money. But this is like real shit. God, I know that I know this is a fucked up thing to say, but I hope I'm at least at some point involved in a Kickstarter scam. I feel like it's in the cards for me. Either as someone being scammed or someone, I'm either going to be like the one being scammed or I'm going to be the one running the scam, and I don't know which one would be worse. Yeah, the Kickstarter craze of like where every single other one was a scam. I'm glad that I never like once I gained like my financial independence. I'm glad that I didn't become like a Kickstarter fiend because I for sure would have been like a Kickstarter fiend if I had been like a little bit younger when I gained financial independence. But thankfully, I'm like at just the right. I kind of like escaped just the right window. I feel like we don't see as many kicks. No, that's not true. I feel like Kickstarters these days are a lot more reasonable than they were back in the day because I feel like back in the day, right, it was it was all about overpromising, right? Always it was about overpromising. Like it was going to be like this machine will be able to detect mice in 100-kilometer radius. Yeah, yeah, exactly. All of them seem like viable. They don't promise like to you that they'll like you know they are not out here promising to build a device that'll walk your dog. They're promising that they'll get you like a for example like a book that is about that they want to print. They're promising you that, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'll believe that. Like recently, there was this one Kickstarter. Speaking of Kickstarter, I should probably try and plug the Kickstarter that this comic is going to be on. Hang on, the frickin' hang on. Let's see. Yeah, this is a link to the Kickstarter where this comic is going to show up. So if you're interested in seeing it printed, that's where you're going to go. But yeah, Avatar TTRPG was shockingly good in its rewards. I've backed up a few video games, TTRPG and book ones mostly, and they've been pretty much all fine. This one webcomic doing Kickstarters for a printed book of it. Yeah, no, like they're much more reasonable now. The one I was thinking about was actually the having a brain moment. Ah, the Lancer RPG one. Yeah, 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 yeah. The one for that TTRPG Lancer. I've played the author of this comic actually. Yeah, Raf hosted a game of Lancer for myself and a couple other folks, Preston and Deity, and it was some of the most fun I've had. Yeah, Lancer Sweep. Thank fuck. Honestly, like I'm so excited for Lancer. I'm so happy that Lancer Sweep is real. Honestly, I was reading Kill 6 Billion Demons before I knew about Lancer, and seeing the dude who made the one thing make the other thing makes me very happy. Yeah, giant robot RPG. If you're interested in like reading the mechanics and everything, there is a website like comp.com that if you look up CompCon, it'll like bring you to a character creator for the site that's hosted by the authors of the game, and it's very useful. I've enjoyed like just making up random characters with it. I think the player rulebook is also free. Yeah. And yeah, Evebot, if you're interested in reading Kill 6 Billion Demons, it's really good. Oh, Lancer Tactics thing. Is that the same as like the RPG thing that I was talking about? Yeah, I don't know. It might be the same thing. It might not be the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like between like Itch.io and you know Kickstarter. Yeah, I think Cypress earlier said that like people have figured out Kickstarter now, and I agree that that's like I feel like that's the right way to put it. License, but it's a tactical RPG video game. Yeah. Then we're talking about the same one. Then yeah. Cypress put it in a really good way that like we figured out Kickstarter. We now understand like what its purpose. People have understood it. Like, what's that one phrase? Like, under promise and over deliver. I feel like people have started to get the essence of that, and now that we have like stuff like Itch.io and everything. Well, no, we've had Itch.io for a while, I feel, but in particular, they figured that out as well. Like, it's become a very harmonic kind of thing. Like, there's been like a very clear pipeline established, and it works. And dear God, I hope it continues to work. Please, God, please let it keep working. Yeah, it's like that one meme edit of fucking King Crimson. It's like, it just works. God, remember when Todd Howard said that as well? Like, and then it became a meme all over again. God, I need to finish playing Fallout 4 one of these days. I've talked about doing like an unarmed Fallout New Vegas run, and while that should be fine and dandy, I cannot fathom that happening for Fallout 4 just because of just how fucking gun focused it is. Like, I imagine it's possible, but like, I feel like I'll have a very bad time if I try doing that. Yeah, Fallout 4 is definitely a game. Fallout 4 is the game that turned me off from pre-ordering video games for my entire life. It's a really funny story. Kind of tragic, honestly, but it's really funny. I pre-ordered Fallout back in 2016, and I was super hyped for it. I was really excited because I was like, oh man, a new Fallout game. And it looks so cool, and the advertisements are so snappy and fun. And you can get a dog. And I was very excited. I bought into the hype, sure. And then, it releases. And I realized that my computer is too weak to run the game properly. All I know is that my boyfriend makes wild builds in New Vegas. Oh yeah, no, wild builds in New Vegas are 100% viable. I don't know how viable they are in for New Vegas though. Whew, yeah, that's cash money, baby. Yeah, I feel like in New Vegas in particular, it's very easy to make like crazy builds because of the fact that you can. It still retains a lot of like the RPG elements, right? So, for example, like in Fallout 4, you don't have skill points anymore. That's not a thing that you have anymore. They got away. They don't have skill points anymore. You don't have those, and that that shocked me to my core. But meanwhile, in New Vegas, you can just make yourself better at guns, and it lets you build something. It lets you build a class. 4 build feels subdued, like you go gun only. Yeah, no. Like I feel like Fallout 4 is less about builds and more about like your preference and playstyle. Like obviously you can have like some perks that synergize better than others, but otherwise it just does feel very much like it's just up to how you play, and that's your quote unquote build. World of Warcraft and Warlords of Draenor. Oh god, did that also happen to World of Warcraft? That sucks, actually. Fallout 4 was made to be just a template for Fallout 76, a way better game now with all of its updates. I've heard good things about updated 76. I still don't trust it, but I've heard good things. I don't know. Maybe I'll eventually try out Fallout 76. I think I need to get like a better taste, a better palette for it from Fallout 4 first. Put 1,000 hours into that game, I can say it's kind of fun. That's good though. It sucks when a bad game is bad forever. Like I don't know. I even though it's like a sign of like the industry itself, poor practices or poor management, what have you. I always like it when like a video game comes back from being like a bad game to being like decent, right? It was bad for like a year and then they made it good. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I like those turnaround stories. Like, obviously, it doesn't help the people who have been, like, forever jaded by it, but, it's nice. It's nice to have them every now and again. Until literally this expansion, World of Warcraft's talent system was hot garbage water. God. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was talking about like me pre-ordering Fallout 4. Yeah, I couldn't run it with my computer's graphics cards, and so I couldn't play the game. I think like the earliest I got a computer that could actually play and like handle Fallout 4 was all the way in 2021. I want to say, yeah, I think around 2021, 2020. Like late 2020 or early 2021 is when I finally got a computer that could like properly run Fallout 4, and it was just like fucking gathering dust and eating up mothballs in my Steam library since 2016. Oh god. Fallout 4 was released in 2016. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. That's why, going back to my original point, builds in Fallout New Vegas are easy to do because you can like statistically see how good you are at something, and you know the math behind it. Like obviously we know the math behind it in Fallout 4 too, but you can't like manipulate it to the extent that you can in New Vegas, right? Like you can't say like, okay, I'll go for like a build, like an unarmed build, and like you invest your skill points in such a way that like you can get certain perks, because I don't know. I found it pretty counterintuitive. How many hours do I have in Fallout 4? Let me check my Steam library. Me looking at every Bethesda game in my Steam library? Yeah, Fallout. Okay, Fallout 4. How many hours we got in this bad boy? 76 hours? That can't be right. Wait, no, I know why that's 76 hours. So, this is again related to like me pre-ordering the game. So it's a little bit inaccurate to say that I couldn't play the game. I could play the game. It's just that past a certain point, because of like some kind of like load issue or like some kind of like graphics limitation that my graphics card had, everything would lose its texture and start to look all fucked up and like rainbow colored. And it was just really bad for the eyes, and it made like these awful sounds. It was like the whole game was haunted. So what I ended up doing is I just kept trying. I thought it was like a me problem, right? So I just kept like restarting these save files and doing like the first 3 hours of it over and over again, until I was like, yeah, no, this is like a problem that's deeper than me. This one ain't on me. Anyway, after I got a computer that could properly run the game in 2021, I did actually sink a few dozen hours into it. I still haven't finished it, though. I mean, I haven't finished Skyrim either, but I don't feel bad about that one. Nobody's finished Skyrim. We're all still playing Skyrim. Not to mention, I just don't care about the Elder Scrolls series as a whole. Like, the Elder Scrolls series wasn't there for me like Fall. Yeah, the Elder Scrolls series wasn't there for me like Fallout was. I really dislike Skyrim. Oh, yeah? How come? I personally prefer Fallout New Vegas to Skyrim because of the fact that Skyrim's unarmed system is just like hot doo doo because of the fact that there is no real unarmed skill. That being said, if you're tenacious enough, you can basically make an unarmed build in Skyrim. Doesn't feel that good to play. I can't like gauge where things are. I think I know what you mean. I feel like this is a trend that was started in like Fallout New Vegas. I feel like in a lot of like open world RPGs, they kind of like I can never go melee. Oh. Oh, okay, so it's like okay, I see what you mean now. Skyrim's one of the okay, for me I always enjoyed Elder Scrolls games more than Fallout, probably because I played Oblivion a ton growing up compared to any Fallout things. Makes sense. Skyrim's one of those games where I've seen enough of this to never want to see it ever again. All of my computers refuse to run New Vegas. Oh god. Oh, I am so sorry for you. For real, that sucks. I hope you get to play it someday. Oh god. To give you an idea of how bad like at one point I was so badly craving to play New Vegas, I didn't have a computer that could run New Vegas either for a while. And it got so bad that I briefly considered buying a cheapo Xbox on like Facebook Marketplace with like a game collection and just getting Fallout New Vegas and trying to play it like that. That's how badly I was hankering to play New Vegas at one point. I ended up at the time I had a MacBook because my MacBook was a computer that I got in high school because I went to one of those high schools that like gave you discounts on them if you went to their school. And I was like, fuck it, MacBooks are pretty nice, why not? And then I learned you couldn't play video games on them, and I was like, this machine sucks. And then I learned about wine, and I was like, this machine's awesome again. My first experience with Fallout New Vegas was a day one unpatched Xbox 360 version. Whew, that is rough. There were no mountains. Mountains hadn't been invented yet. I wonder if that's maybe where they got the idea for Big Empty in Old World Blues. I didn't know about patches and didn't realize I could connect my 360 to the online. Oh, yeah, I see. God, I'm just imagining like playing in New Vegas without the mountains, and I'd be like, the world looks flatter than it used to. I remember this place being more vertical in some areas. God. God, I almost forgot consoles just connect to the internet now. It's crazy, right? Like I thought we'd peaked as like I thought human technology had peaked when I could like browse the internet on my Wii. I sort of thought that it was like witchcraft. I was like, you're telling me I can check Club Penguin on my Wii? That's nuts. That's insane. I don't believe you. The future rules. You needed an adapter for the 360 to hook up to Wi-Fi. Eesh. I mean, to some extent, I can sympathize with that, right? Like, my desktop needs an adapter to connect to Wi-Fi too. I don't use it that much these days on account of the fact that I use an Ethernet cable like a gentleman. Wi-Fi is okay if you're close to the router, my ass. I remember buying Phantasy Star Online because it had an offline mode, and I assured my parents I wouldn't need to buy an adapter. Ah. I had to fix millions of nodes on this one, too. The Dreamcast one. Oh. Yeah, wasn't the Dreamcast like one of the very, very, very first consoles that can connect to the internet? All I remember about the Dreamcast was I never owned a Dreamcast. All I remember about it was Jet Set Radio because that's the one game that everybody talks about when they talk about the Dreamcast. That's some kind of internet adapter. Mira to. I don't know. Soul Calibur was neat. Oh yeah, Soul Calibur. God, I first played Jet Set Radio on the PC. I played it in like basically like 3 sittings. It was the second of those games at the time. Oh, Soul Calibur 2, huh? I remember the GameCube version of Soul Calibur had Link in there for some reason. I think nowadays the like hot guest star is 2B from Nier Automata. That's wild though. Oh, the first was Soul Blade, the Soul Calibur. Huh. It's always super weird when like things change their names as they like go into different installments. You know, obviously, like besides the fact for like spin-offs, Link, Darth Vader, Geralt of Rivia, and 2B all exist in the Soul Calibur universe. Oh, okay. First Soul Blade and then Soul Calibur. Oh, kind of like how there was Demon Souls and then like Dark Souls. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Man, I really want to try like playing one of those very old clunky from Soft PlayStation 1 games at some point. Those look like a bundle of fun. Are we done? Oh no, I forgot the headband and the choker. King's Quest. Is King's Quest okay? King's Quest was a Yoda and Ezio are also in the Soul Calibur universe? That is fucked. I hope Link Soul Calibur and Yoda Soul Calibur met up. I feel like Yoda and Link would be good friends. Oh, different King's game. Yeah, King's Field. Okay, that one I think was a FromSoft game. I don't have a black belt in like FromSoft history, so unfortunately I don't know how to rap much about that. Oh, I still haven't finished Elden Ring. There's a lot of games I haven't finished that are like very popular, but I just never found the time to get through. Weirdly enough, Elden Ring was another case where like I was like, "Yay, I'm gonna buy this hot new game," but I didn't have like the beefy hardware to run it. Rather, I could run in theory. In theory, I could run Elden Ring on like my older hardware, but all the enemies would be invisible. Like for some reason, my hardware was such that like if I loaded up Elden Ring, I could run it, but for whatever fucking reason, every single enemy was invisible. So yeah, and I still got through the first area with like that. I was like, man, this game is tough as hell. I can't see any of the enemies. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, wait, this isn't normal? And they're like, no, dude. It's a good thing that my friends told me that that wasn't normal, because otherwise I might have tried to actually play the game like that, and I would have gotten my ass beat up, down, and around. All right, I think that does it for this panel. Wait, no, the arm. Here we go. I'm off for now, but thanks for the stream. Yeah, thank you for stopping by. Let's see. Oh yeah, I learned something weird the other day. Apparently, the Teletubbies are a wildly lucrative property. I don't know why I didn't like expect that, but apparently, like, it's one of the, like, the highest grossing TV shows that are still on air. Man, I cannot wait for I don't know if it'll happen ever, but if it does happen, I cannot wait for the defunct TV episode on the Teletubbies. Yeah, the Tubbies. Let's see, then over here. Yeah, because like I remember watching like a bunch of Defunctland TV episodes, and I remember that like the reason that some TV shows can just like air infinitely is because they've like produced 100 episodes, so they can like apply for syndication or whatever, and that means that they essentially like keep running until like people decide that they're not interested anymore. But like once you're syndicated, like that's like you're in it for the long haul. Yeah, I think like Sesame Street obviously is like one of those shows. I don't remember if there were other like caveats to syndication, but I remember like the main one was like you had 100 episodes. Yeah, I remember watching a bunch of the defunct TV episodes at one point, and I felt like I knew at least a couple of them, but I at the same time I was like, do I actually know them, or am I just like losing my mind? Because I felt like they were like children's shows from like the 90s and everything. So I was like, I vaguely recall some of these, but I don't know if I don't know for sure. Like I don't trust 7-year-old Pabs to remember all of that, 7-year-old Pabs didn't know what was going on. He was too busy moving countries and being 7 years old. Let's see. I mean, I do know that there are some people who have like perfect awareness from like the moment they're out of the birth canal, which must also suck. I feel like if I was like fresh out of the birth canal, I wouldn't want to remember anything. Those first 2 hours must be really boring. I didn't gain sentience until year 5. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I feel like I gained sentience like way later. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm a sentience late bloomer. It also depends on how you define like that sentience, right? Because like I feel like the first time I was like aware of my own mortality wasn't when I was like 11. right? I feel like people like I think like we all kind of vaguely understand like oh yeah, you weren't sentient until like such and such age. We understand what that means, but like I feel like everybody has like a different definition of that. Being aware of my own thoughts and actions beyond baby instincts. Oh, okay, I see what you mean now. Yeah, I think yeah, probably like 7 or 6 is around when it happened for me. Like obviously I had more than baby instincts, but like I don't remember anything earlier than that. Okay, this panel's done. We should probably hang on. What we probably should do is actually grab these guys, put them in a folder, duplicate that folder, merge those together, put them somewhere around here, and like turn them like solid dark red like this. Yeah, like this. And then we just set that to like a layer color. And then, just for a little extra kick, let's say this part here will shade like this. We can get rid of this one for the time being. What's the shading for the... Okay, it looks like this like bright orange kind of color. Oops. Oops. Yeah, the one bad part about like switching to like full color is that the crosshatch shading that I was using before is no longer going to fly. There we go. Oh, hang on. Looks a little awkward there. I'm gonna use a soft eraser on that. Right, I forgot that this is a fill. It's all in the same color. Crap. Okay, so around here, I think, then. Wait, hang on. There we go. And then raise it up over here. And we'll add some here too, why not? There we go. And that should be looking much better. Much better. Or, Grab this. There we go. Oh, that left like a weird mark behind. Hang on. That's a stupid wand tool. Okay, that's panel 1 done. I've still got some more in me. Let's get started on panel 2 then. Oh yeah, I had to actually edit the helmet here because it was at a wonky angle earlier. There we go. That's why we've got like this extra thing up here. Okay, so this is going to need to go. Wait, okay, what's this? This is for sure the original, right? Let me open up the black and white version. That'll have the answers to the questions that I seek. Okay, yeah, no, this is the finalized version. Yeah, this one looks a little too flat. It's like a pug. Yeah, it's like this is like the pug version of the helmet. If that's the case, we can just get rid of that part. Now, what we will need to do is to get rid of that dark shading. The little gap in white there is fine because we're not going to need to. We're going to erase all the shading anyway. But where is... Okay, this is the background line. Okay, and then... Whoop, sorry about that. What was I doing? Right, opacity to brightness, or brightness to opacity. Opacity to brightness. Now there's a new idea for a spicy update tool. All right, here we go. Increase that. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now it's all a matter of like bungee jumping between the frames and adding the appropriate color. Okay. That should be good for the background colors. Well, we won't see much of those until much later. Now the character colors are a different matter. Yeah. Weirdly enough, one of my goals as an artist is to have as much of an issue coloring background. Like, I want to get to a point where the issues I have coloring backgrounds are the same as the issues that I have like coloring characters. Because if I've gotten to that point, that means that like the actual like carpentry and under the hood work of the character is fine. It's just like me needing to be like, right, the freaking choker, right? Okay, we missed that. Solution: fill the foreground with so much stuff that you don't have to worry about backgrounds. Modern problems do require modern solutions. That's not a bad way to go about it. Yeah. God, for some reason, I just had the weirdest flashback to the Dinosaur Comics guy. I do wonder what they're up to these days. If you guys don't remember, Dinosaur Comics was a webcomic thing that I don't remember when it was popular, but it must have been really popular. Essentially, it was the same comic panels in the same order, except the punchline was different each day. And I don't know if they've been able to like keep it up. Like I know that they like I I don't remember what like. I don't think they even had like a specific plot line. Like it was just like a topical thing. But I remember that that was a thing that somebody did. I do wonder if they're like still updating it today. Sometimes it feels bad, like remembering a webcomic that I read about like a long time ago, and then remembering that, and like looking it up, and then reading that like the last update for it was in freaking, I don't know, 2014. Webcomics are hard work. It's reasonable to like, it's reasonable that, especially since like a lot of them are like done by a single person, they won't be able to like finish them or maintain the work. People move on with their lives and they've got other shit to do. But it does still, like whenever that happens, it does still feel like I'm like encountering an old friend in like the battlegrounds and like solemnly closing their eyes. Yeah, making comics is kind of hard. So many webcomics I followed that never made it beyond like 2013, 14. Yeah, it's a lot. That's why I was actually really surprised that the fucking Lackadaisy pilot was alive and kicking. I remember that like Lackadaisy had like a good 3 or 4 years where it just updated like very, very rarely. And I'm like, now they've got a whole ass animated pilot. They must have been doing some shit in the time when I wasn't looking. Yeah. I listen to this podcast, right? Like Dirty Old Ladies. There's this podcast called Dirty Old Ladies, and it's about like these women who have been in the webcomic industries for like a long, long time. People like furries on the internet. Who knew? That's news to me. Fucking furries on the internet? Wild of true. Wild of true. I thought all the furries were so busy working, the cornerstone type IT jobs that like they were a little too busy to go on the internet. Furries are too busy deciding how we'll go to how we'll live on Mars or some shit to dick around on the internet all day. Yeah, they're too busy being doctors. Yeah, the skink that I hired to do my taxes, it's apparently has a Twitter account, but like I think that's more of a side thing than like their main jam. I do know there is like an accountant out there that's like a badger furry. I do know that there is one of those people running around. If I ever have to rebrand as a VTuber, that's gonna be my go-to. I'm just gonna turn into like a furry something or other, and that'll be how I bounce back. I've got enough shit going on that I can conceivably just turn myself into an animal. I'm thinking maybe a spectacled bear. Those are the only bears that are native to Ecuador. Become rice with mold? At that point, I might as well turn myself into sake. I mean, one furry friend I know was one of the people working on one of the COVID vaccines. That rules. I love that. Oh, shoot. Okay, I see. Hang on. I see the issue here. There we go. There's just a little bit of a gap here. I should... Hang on, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? No, this is probably the easiest. Or most direct at any rate. Still, that is nuts that you know somebody who worked on the COVID vaccine, and they're not only like a life-saving doctor, but they're also a furry. That rules. The future is awesome. That is something that I realized, like, as we kind of like start, because as the kind of like, I think like the phrase was like digital native, right? That's like the phrase that people use for like, the current generation that's going to grow up like in, with screens in front of them day one. Kind of horrific, but on the other hand, that does mean that like people who, like VTubers, for example, or like imagine if like your Oshi graduates and the other, and like you recognize her voice on the news one day and it turns out they're your new state representative. That is like the future that I'm hoping for. If people can, have like their passions and have that going for them without like fear of how it'll affect their like public life, I think that would be the best outcome. Or, it'll become more like acceptable or more normalized to have like both like, more out there interests, but also, responsibilities as a person. Because, it's a lot about reputation, right? It's a lot about like people being able to take you seriously. But I think like we are on the path that like people will take you seriously, even if you're kind of a weirdo, which again, benefits and downsides, but I think it's overall a net benefit. Let's see, there we go. It's an entire little thing here. There we go. Over here, and then I'm guessing over here too. You got anything on this side? Oh yeah, we got some. Yeah, they still have from time to time these like minuscule white lines that I don't know if they're going to show up, but I'm going to err on the side of caution. I guess I'm also an example of that, given that I'm a free and I work at a national research lab. I mean, that's fair. Like, I work for a fairly respectable like office company, and I'm a VTuber, so me trying to keep it as vague as possible in case my employers somehow stumble upon this shit. Seriously, if I keep most I'm not like a freak ass, right? So I'm not worried about what'll happen if like my boss finds out that I'm a VTuber, but at the same time I would much more prefer it if we never reach that scenario. That is like finger on the panic button scenario. Not quite move to Portugal and become a dancer under a fake alias kind of panic, but a more generic and normal kind of panic. Let's see over here. It's that guy that pretends to be a bag of rice on the internet. Get him! Dogpile him! Put him in the cooker! Put him in the cooker! I can just see it now. Yeah, it's much better if I retain my anonymity. I could start doing one of those like super ooh voices, those like super ooh voices to also hide my identity. But I think if I did that, I would actually throw up a little bit in my own mouth. I respect people who can do those full time because like I don't have that commitment to a bit or a character. I don't have that kind of commitment to a character to do that. And also like my voice register is so deep that if I try to do that, I think I'll like blow my vocal cords in like 3 or 4 hours. I mean, never say never, right? There might come a day and a time when I need to fulfill such dark promises, but hopefully it won't be anytime soon. Speaking of which, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this extra layer over here. A finger on the monkey's paw curls. Hold on, I'm making a meme right now. Oh, I'm terrified. Let's see. Anyway, I should get back to coloring this. Man, thank God I adopted the rice persona before I started VTubing, though. Otherwise, I would have... Like, I joke about how I'm just like a normal guy a lot of the time, right? I joke about that. But the fact of the matter is, before I started having like my rice persona, I was just straight up like I just straight up had like a stylized version of my own face as my avatar, right? Like I just drew myself, and that was my avatar. I think if you go back on my Tumblr shit, you can like find it or something. But I don't know if you want to do that, because it's honestly not much to look at. I look like the most generic like black-haired dude ever. I look like a light novel protagonist. So you're not going to be able to get much from that, unfortunately. Yeah, average dude with like black hair is like the white dude with brown hair of isekai protagonists. Okay, this is weird. Why isn't it like... Oh, there we go. For some reason, it wasn't like filling right here, and I think it might have just been because I was goofing with the pencil. Thankfully, it's going to be a lot faster to fill this one because I don't have to flip between pages this time. I just need to flip between panels. I forgot to shade Hawk's skin. It's always one frickin' thing or the other, huh? Okay. Okay. Bomp, 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 bomp. Yeah, that being said, I am grateful that I'm like one of those dudes who like learned how to color stuff in using the paint bucket tool, because if I had to like... I've seen how people color stuff in, you know, like I tune into other ArtTuber streams, right, sometimes, and I see like their process for coloring, and I'm like, man, that would suck to do in like a mass production type deal. Obviously, you know, we're not supposed to be making art in mass production. That's like antithetical to the whole thing. You know, we're not Thomas Kincaid out here. But at the same time, like I do wonder, like it looks like such a delicate and like refined process that I'm like, how do you like do that long term? Or, you know, how do you do that? How would you do that if you were making a comic? And most of the time, the answer is they don't, because they don't make comics. But I kind of think to myself, you know, the way that I work is kind of well suited to comic making, which is really lucky because I like comics, and I hope that I can make more of them over time. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I was talking earlier how I've been like sorting through like a bunch of files, and I found one that that I thought for sure was like a virus among them. Right, I was like sorting through them, and I saw this one that had like just numbers for the name of the folder. I'm like, huh, that looks a little suspicious. Let's open it up and see what's inside. And it turns out that it was like one of my... I had a few side blogs back in the side blogs back in the day on Tumblr, and it turns out that I downloaded the entire thing onto my computer, and again, this was not immediately obvious to me at first because I just used to collect like art references, right? And I opened up the picture and I was like, okay, there's like a picture of a cottage, and later on there's like a picture of a gun. I was like trying to connect the dots desperately until I finally remembered, okay, this is probably what it is. Having like old files that you don't remember where they came from on your computer is kind of awesome, but also like a little bit harrowing because you're like, on the one hand you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, like you get that little nice bit of nostalgia to it, and other times you're like, dear god, what kind of headspace was I in to like download this? Yeah, I feel like if I ever got like properly drunk, instead of like making bad decisions, I would just like download questionable files. Computer archaeology, yeah. I have some files from 2006. Sheesh. Nice. Yeah, that's a good vintage. I've always said this, that like, files from 2006 always have the best like, you know, it's like the file equivalent of a rosé. Refreshing, but like not too light on the flavor. You still get some of the deeper notes that you don't always get on the newer file types. Don't even get me started on like the fucking absolute disgrace of the tannin arrays in WebP files. Ugh, no. Absolutely not. You go into like a fine wine bar and you ask for a WebP, they will laugh you out of there, and as they rightfully should. Yeah, finely aged bites. Yeah, here's a question for you. If computer data aged like food, would it age more like cheese or like wine? Because there are slightly different ways that each of those like age, right? So for example, I know that for example, aged cheese develops like these like almost like crystalline structures within it that kind of have like this very specific flavor, and that's why probably aged cheese has like such like a unique flavor. On the other hand, I don't know how wine works so much. I feel like it's a more apt description because if you age wine for too long, it becomes vinegar. Yeah. That reminds me that one time I was like shopping at a Goodwill with my mother, and while because she'd never been thrifting where we were living at the time, and I was like, "Hey mom, let's go thrift shopping," and she was like, "Okay, sure, I've never done that here." So we went to the Goodwill, right? And I found a post the meme check on Tumblr whenever. Let me pull this up if I can find my Firefox window. Oh, that is a knee slapper. That's a good one. Nice work, Cypress. Go here. In the cooker? Go in the cooker. God. Good stuff. Nice work. Whew. Yeah, go here. It's always really funny to me, like profoundly funny. I don't know how to put this. Like the most engagement that I get is like whenever there's like grievous threat to myself. Like I remember one time, like 17, like 5 different people who were lurking in my chat one time were popped out of the woodworks when we were talking about like squishing me for some reason. Like I was like talking about like please don't squish me, and then like 6 different people were like popping up like squish him, squish him, squish him. It was a great time. A little bit concerning for my personal safety, but hey, that's show business. Uses you to get the moisture out of my phone when you're made of rice. Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy being the Friday chief, but nobody else is going to do the job. Okay, do I have the little like on the ray gun here? Like there's like this like ribbing, right? Do I have that on the other pages? Hang on. Let's take a look. Okay, I don't seem to have it ever. So, okay, that's page 1. What's page 2 looking like? Okay, I'm gonna turn Clip Studio off right here while I check this stuff. It looks like I don't really like add the. Okay, yeah, I don't add the like little like flanges on the back. Thank God. That would have been such a pain to correct in the back, in like retrospectively. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Or rather, it doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter if it makes sense, but it's what matters even more than whether or not it makes sense is whether it's consistent. Because even if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, if it's consistent, it's like still good, right? I much prefer consistency over like making sense, because even then, if you don't have perfect consistency, even if it doesn't make perfect sense, if you still have that consistency, it almost serves to make its own logic, if that makes sense. Let's make the holes a little bit bigger. Okay, then robot maids. Oh, I forgot to shade the tag on the robot maid up here. Okay, erase this bit. There we go. Just a little bit. What's this little like gap here? What's that supposed to be? Is that also present in the other one? Mm-hmm, sure is. Let's see. Okay, we'll finish adding the flats to this panel, and then I think we're gonna call it a night. Wait, this is the wrong color. What am I doing? Yeah, that shouldn't take too long. What color did I have for the headband back here? I think it was like a dark blue. Yeah. Let me fix that up here as well. While we're at it. Okay. That's just filling up the rest of the bits on Amelia over here, and then we should be good to go. Are we good? Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, okay, so that'll do it for the flats on that panel. Yeah, there we go. I'll adjust the colors on the background here a little bit, because now that they're, now that they, in this page, it's like they're scheming a plan, right? So I think in this panel here, the colors can return back to a more like normal color. Maybe I should just keep it on that like high alert color and work it out with a shading. I'll figure something out with that. In that case, let's see over here. All right. Let me jump back on my desk. I'm worried that like with how like stumpy I'm making my model and with how I'm scaling it so that I'm on top of my desk these days, somebody's eventually gonna get the wrong idea and think that I'm like 3 apples tall or some shit. I'll cross that bridge once I burn it. But other than that, thank you all very much for coming by today. I had a great time today. Thank you all for keeping me company, and thanks again, Cypress, for the raid and for the awesome meme. I am truly delighted. And yeah, I'll see you all on Wednesday for some more Ishin, I think. Pretty sure. Alright. Y'all have yourselves a great rest of your evenings. I will see you all later, and I'll be streaming Mocha. Oh, raiding Mocha. Alright, bye.